What's up, Algebra 2 students? This is lesson 72, really just the second part of it, because we're just going to be talking about negative angles. Before we talk about negative angles, we just need to do a quick review of how you would graph an angle in what we call standard position. Remember, an angle has two sides and a vertex. So when we graph an angle with two sides and a vertex in standard position, we put what we call the initial side on the positive x-axis and the vertex at the origin. So for this one, if I wanted to graph 60 degrees, I'd put a point at the origin, go to the right, put a little arrow, that's one side of it, and then I would move in a counterclockwise position till I move 60 degrees, which would be approximately like that. Just pretend that line is straight. And this would be an angle in what we call standard position. And this measure in here is 60 degrees. If we were going to move in the negative direction, say negative 60, we do the same thing, but instead of moving in the counterclockwise direction, we would move in the clockwise direction. So to graph this one, I would give my vertex here, come out this way, then I would come down in that direction, 60 degrees. So this is actually a negative 60 degrees because I moved down versus up, or I moved clockwise versus counterclockwise. So really, this lesson is going to be mostly practice of what we've already learned, and then just with a little bit of a new concept of, oh, you're going to move in the other direction when working with negative numbers. So these first few here are off your homework. See if you can figure out which ones. And when it says find the angle measure, you're looking for this red one here. It gives you the green one. Of course, in your homework, it's going to be all black and white. So don't just write down, oh, it's 80. You're looking for that other one that has the arrow on it. So notice this is moving in the clockwise direction, which means whatever my answer is, it's going to be negative. So I know from here to here is 180 degrees, and the negative, of course. And then from here to here, it tells me is another 80 degrees, of course, again, moving in the negative direction. So to find the total there, I'd say 180 plus 80. Those are both negative, so I just add those up. So it's going to be negative 260 degrees. Okay. Very similar here for this next one. Notice we're going from here all the way around back to the same line. So that part, so far, we're at 360 degrees, moving in the negative direction because I'm moving clockwise. From here to here is going to be a negative 180. And then this last chunk right here is another negative 45 degrees. Again, it's just negative because I'm moving in the clockwise direction. So to find out what that angle is altogether, just add those all up. 5, 12, 580. I'm going to say negative 585 degrees. So that's that basic idea. You have some that ask you to draw your own, and so I just figured I would do one of those as well. So again, I'm thinking moving 240. So that's bigger than 180. So I'm just going to say 240 minus 180. I'm going to get 60. Well, yeah. So notice I'm going to start right here move out this way. Since it's negative, I'm going to move in the clockwise position. I know it's going to go at least this far, because that's 180 degrees in the negative direction. And then I need to go another 60 degrees, which is going to be approximately right out there. I'm not going to be getting out a compass to measure this, just estimate. Since you know 60 is more than 45, you want to make sure that you're going more than that. And so then you just label that as negative 240. You could also remember that if you got it all the way to this point, it would be 270. So you know it's going to be in here. All right. This next one says convert each pair of polar coordinates to rectangular coordinates. So before we did this with a triangle, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Let's just do a quick sketch of what 330 would look like. 330 would be almost 360, so minus 30 degrees, right? It'd be this angle. And then it's out here at 4, right? So this length is 4. There's that point there because this is negative 330. So I know I'm going to be in the first quadrant. I can use this triangle here because they're the exact same triangle. This length is 4. This length is 330, which means this one in here is going to be 30 degrees. So this vertical length here is going to be my y. This horizontal length here is going to be my x. So now I can use my calculator and some trig functions to solve for x and y. Let's solve for x first. So maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here. So I know that cosine uses adjacent and hypotenuse. So I know cosine of 30 is going to equal to x over 4. So if I multiply both sides by 4, I know that x is going to equal to 4 times cosine of 30. I know that cosine of 30 is going to be the square root of 3 over 2 times 4. So those would reduce. It's going to be 2 square roots of 3, or approximately 3.46. That's what my x is. To find y, I know sine of 30 is equal to y over 4. Multiplying both sides by 4, I'll get y is equal to 4 times sine of 30. I know sine of 30 is equal to 1/2. So that means y is equal to 2. So my answer then is going to be 2 square roots of 3, comma 2. Now I think you are going to end up with one that this up here, my thought bubble, might help you with. If one of those angles puts you on an axis, it actually makes your life a whole lot easier. Think about this one here. If I had 490, that means I'd go up 90 degrees. That put me on the vertical axis. I'm going up 4. So I don't really have to do any of this process to find my x and my y, because I know it's on the vertical axis. So in this case, the y length is 4 and the x is 0. So that would be it this way. Or if I had 280, that means I'd come here 180 degrees. I'm coming out 2. So now I'm on the negative x-axis. So x is negative 2 and the y is 0. So anytime that you end up with an angle on one of these axes, it actually makes your life a whole lot easier. But if you start doing something like this, you'll end up with undefined or strange answers. So it's actually easier, but don't freak out. Your homework is a worksheet, so good luck. I hope you do great.